In 2001, a blogging tool was launched by a French programmer named Michel Valdry, which would eventually redefine the way we create and use websites. Although eventually discontinued, the tool known as B2 Café Log was the starting point for what is today the world's most powerful CMS, or Content Management System. You see, although Michel created the tool, its future was left in jeopardy when he stopped working on it in 2002. Enter Matt Mullenweg and Mike Little in 2003, who saw the potential and created a fork of the original source code, added their own personal touch, and launched WordPress, which, due to its innovation and open source accessibility, saw tremendous growth, powering over 35% of websites today. But its growth and dominance have been challenged recently, with controversial development choices and increasing competition leading many to question the future of WordPress and whether the glory days are behind us. A quick search on Google Trends reveals that the number of people Googling WordPress has been declining since 2014. Meanwhile, the popularity of new cloud platforms like Shopify, Wix, and Squarespace is rising. And a more detailed look at the CMS usage data reveals that 2002 is the first year ever that WordPress market share did not grow. In fact, it declined by 0.1%. While that's a tiny amount, it is concerning that the market share of WordPress stopped growing. Anecdotally, WordPress feels less dominant too. Here's what Joost de Valk, founder of Joost SEO, has to say. If WordPress is shrinking, then something else must be growing. This is, after all, a zero-sum game. The very clear winners at the moment are Wix and Squarespace. And it's no wonder that Joost is diversifying their business, recently releasing its SEO for Shopify plugin, and other companies such as Weglot are also expanding outside of WordPress, making for a very scary time indeed. So why is it shrinking? There are a number of reasons to look at to answer this sort of question, but we have to start with the increased competition. With the emergence of new competitors in the CMS market, WordPress is facing more competition today than ever before. For instance, until a few years ago, WordPress, thanks to WooCommerce, powered most small business e-commerce websites. But today, many people are moving to Shopify, Squarespace, and similar niche cloud platforms. Unlike WordPress, those cloud platforms are expensive, but they do make up for it by offering better security and less maintenance, as well as being very easy for newcomers to set up. But that's not all. WordPress also faces many ongoing security concerns. According to Security, WordPress-powered websites were the most hacked websites in 2021. Interestingly, over 90% of the affected websites were powered by WordPress. WordPress websites definitely have a reputation for being more at risk of hacking, and this has the effect of putting people off WordPress altogether. Unfortunately, WordPress has also suffered from poor usability. WordPress provides a genuine opportunity for absolutely anyone to create a website. However, that doesn't mean that it's easy to use. The platform has been heavily criticized for being less beginner-friendly than hosted systems like Wix. That's largely inevitable because the more flexible a platform is, the harder it is to use. However, this was made worse by the fact that, until recently, WordPress didn't have a built-in page builder. To create fancy page layouts, you would either have to hire a developer or install a third-party page builder plugin, which might not be easy to use. And when a page builder was finally added to WordPress, it was heavily criticized for a long time, and deservingly so. Just look at the reviews of the original Gutenberg plugin, which has now been added to the WordPress core. This has caused a growing feeling that the WordPress leadership is undemocratic, despite it being an open source CMS. So that's it then. WordPress is toast, and everyone should just jump ship, right? No, not just yet. Of course, the statistics do seem to paint a bleak picture, but that's not the whole story. So far, we've only looked at the statistics for market share, but not the total number of people who are using the platform. When you focus just on market share, it can lead to some skewed results. Here's a different graph showing the total number of WordPress websites between the year 2000 and January 2023. As you can see, there is a plateau, but not a decline, and this represents more of a course correction than something unusual. Remember, in 2020, due to lockdowns, There was a lot of people starting new websites, building out new e-commerce stores on WooCommerce, and starting online businesses. It was a terrible time for the world, but an incredible time for entrepreneurship. This accelerated trends that we think would have happened over the following years anyway. Without COVID, we'd probably still be seeing an increase in the total number of websites on WordPress, but it wouldn't have had the same spike that it did in 2020 and plateau that we're seeing now. So, what does the future look like for WordPress? Well, looking at WordPress usage statistics, we can be reassured that the platform isn't in a decline. However, that doesn't eliminate all the challenges that we talked about earlier. Of course, it's easy to criticize the biggest player, but the truth is, WordPress still has plenty going for it. Beyond the data, there are plenty of reasons to trust that WordPress has its best days ahead of it. For starters, WooCommerce, which is powered by WordPress, is still the world's leading e-commerce platform with over 20% market share. And although heavily criticized in its early releases, the Gutenberg block editor is becoming better all the time, and the development team has a long-term vision in line with the industry demands. WordPress is still the most popular open source CMS by a very, very long way. Its main competitors are not open source. This makes it more adaptable and flexible than proprietary software. Also, despite the many hacking attempts, WordPress remains secure and safe. And most importantly, WordPress has a commanding lead. Over 28% of the world's top 1 million websites are still powered by WordPress. So it's fair to say that WordPress is the undisputed market leader when it comes to CMS, and will continue to be for the foreseeable future. Because of its sheer popularity, it's hard to make the claim that WordPress is dying. So where does that leave us today? Well, a lot has been said about the fluctuations in WordPress's market share and the popularity of other CMS software. And while there's no denying that WordPress has faced recent challenges in its growth, it remains the most loved CMS by a large community of people for its open source nature, plugin support, and scalability. As a business, we here at Barn2 remain confident in the strength of WordPress and believe it will be the go-to CMS for another 10 years and beyond. If you work in WordPress in any way at all, whether you're offering a product or as a service provider, then thankfully there's lots of hope for the future. And if you need a website, WordPress is still the most future-proof choice, at least in our opinion. So it's time to finally answer the question. Is WordPress dying? No, absolutely not. If you are still here, thank you so much for watching this video. It did take a little bit more time and effort than some of the other tutorials that I'm posting on this channel, so I'd really appreciate if you could give this video a like if you found it insightful or interesting. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel for more WordPress content and check out Barn2 for some truly awesome plugins. But that's all for me. See you in the next one.